Welcome back. This is the From A to Z podcast. I'm your host, PK Mukweni. Today, we have the MD of Fresh AF. Yes, that means exactly what you think it is. He's also the co-founder of skipani.com. We're going to find out all about all of that and more right here on the From A to Z podcast. Without further ado, let me introduce Ali Fathana. What up, bro? Thank you for joining me, sir.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me.
Ali, the name of the show is From A to Z. We're going to find out where you started, how you got into advertising, what's going on now, and what you think about the future. Are you ready to go from ad to Z?
I'm ready, bro.
Let's go.
From A to Z, it's plain to see. This podcast is about people in my industry. Writers, designers, social media managers. Don't forget the data miners. HRPR, find out who they are and how they made it this far. From A to Z, talk about your family, talk about the goals you reach, talk about the plans you see. Let's get it. Welcome aboard. I'm your host, PK Mukweni, and this is the From A to Z podcast.
I was born in a small town called Mokopane. So that's where I was born. So Mokopane, which is in Limpopo. Yeah, that's where I was born. So I moved to a place called Rabbit Ridge, which is around the area, like Midrand side. So in 1996. So pretty much grew up in Rabbit Ridge. Yeah, I've been there for the longest of time. That's where, like my youth, like just growing up, seeing things. That's where, yeah.
So, let me get this one right. You went to Allen Ridge Combined School, right?
Yeah, which is a local school in Rabbit Ridge.
In Rabbit Ridge. Cool. Please tell me a bit about that. What kind of kid were you at school and all of that?
Oh, snap. So I was a curious kid growing up. So in Allen Ridge, so we had a mixture of colored people and not black people, so that dynamic there was very, very interesting because when I got in there, it was in 97. So the kids there were not used to seeing like people like me, black people that are coming into the school, into the space. So it was quite interesting because the language there, so I did English and Afrikaans only. So the colored people, it was a culture shock moving from Limpopo coming into a colored neighborhood. So that alone, played a huge role in my life. But in school, I was still a hustler. I started out as a hustler.
What were you hustling?
So I used to sell
snacks.
I used to sell sweets and snacks. My business grew. I was selling lollipops as well. I moved from big time sweets and graduated into the lollipops. Like the big times, the yogurtas and all of that. Those were moving. I was making good money.
And what did you do with your money? What was this need for you to hustle?
I grew up in a big family, so I have 5 siblings. So my mom and dad, my aunt lived with us and my cousin. So it was a big family with my dad being the only breadwinner. So, that's set up in there. So whenever you want something, it has to go or be distributed amongst people. You can't get a new sneaker because the sneaker that you want is probably expensive, so that means that we need to buy for everyone else. I can't get a bicycle. We need to buy for everyone else. So I just decided, to relieve the stress from my dad and my parents, I think it's easier for me to get into business, and this is where I'll sell like sweets, then use that money for pocket money, use that money for things that I want.
Nice, dope. Yeah. So then, what about some of your favorite ads? Because you're already in the business. How were you? What were some of the favorite ads at that time? Like when you were in like high school, any memorable ads that you had?
There was quite a lot. So I remember sometime in 2004. That's when computers hit the hood. That's when, my hood at least. So that's when, we started getting into computers straight full on, So I had a cousin of mine that helped me build my computer. So my friends also started getting into computers. So funny enough, a hood close to Rabbit Ridge is called Ivory Park. And these are the shacks. And that's where we used to get the motherboards, there's computer parts.
I wonder where they got those from.
Exactly. So even the content that we'd watch would get it from them. So the people from Ivory Park, I don't know, they just have a hustle mentality. So what they did, would go there with a hard drive and collect stuff, and part of the stuff that was in the hard drive was just purely ads. I don't know if you went through the same thing. Where it's
international and local ads,
folder full of adverts, the Budweiser ads, Bud Light ads, those were the funniest. So that's how I got into understanding of what advertising is through TVCs, you know. So my favorite ones were always the Bud Light ones because they had a lot of humor in it, you know. Yeah, that's the fresh memory that I have of, you know, me being exposed to adverts outside of TV, where it was me just out of my interest going out of my way to find out what advertising is. Yeah.
When does the bug actually strike? Because after matric, you have so much stuff going on. You're like, yo, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I know you actually went to Rosebank College, right?
Yeah.
I'm also an alumni of Rosebank College.
Oh, dope. Which one did you go to?
First, it was in Parktown, then it moved to opposite from UJ Bunting.
Oh, yeah, Bunting. Yeah.
Where was it when you went?
I went to the Rosebank branch.
I see.
Yeah.
So please tell us a bit about how you made the decision to go and study graphic design, right?
Yeah, graphic design.
At Rosebank College, and what was your experience like?
So you know, like the usual dilemma of career choice.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be in marketing, but you know, the marketing that I knew, or the idea of marketing that I had, was because of the people around me that were doing marketing. It wasn't really within the advertising space, but they were just marketers. I don't know if that makes sense. You know, like it seemed more of a sales kind of thing, you know, like, and not necessarily in a communications advertising type of environment. So I wanted to do advertising simply because, you know, like I just loved it, you know, and graphic design. I started watching like a lot of shows. There was a show on SABC 1. I'm trying to remember the name, where it was a challenge, a competition where I think the guys that won did a campaign for 4664. I'll remember the name. The Cut, I think. I think it was The Cut. The name of the show, I think it was The Cut.
Yeah.
And that influenced me a lot. But the one that really made me decide was Street Journal by Night. I used to love that show. Yeah. So just seeing Scoop in his element, going
the sneakers and the colors,
the graffiti. You know, like, then I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do. So I moved from having the top 3 selection, which was marketing, finance, something in finance, then graphic design. So simply because I didn't have more info on advertising at the time, because the people that would come to school with a career exhibition, or
that's
expo,
how I got in.
They come in
the pamphlet.
They give you a prospectus.
Yes,
they're like, oh, come and sign up with us. And when you ask about advertising, they tell you that it's there within graphic design, which you find that it's just a module. You know, that's how they got me.
My experience was, I'm there to do marketing. I ran away from accounting since grade 9 in high school. Do I not have to do accounting?
Again.
Yo, like at Rosebank College. But anyways, I got through it. I passed all of my modules. No repeats, nothing. Shout out to Rosebank College. But what else was your experience like? Were you very part of the culture? I know that you launched skipani.com at that time because you were obviously very in the party in the party life, involved in that. So it actually founded as a gig guide.
As a gig guide, yeah. So I was into the culture, you know, like growing up in the hood, and you know, like you get influenced by a lot of people that look cool, you know, like these usually for me, these were people that were not at Ellen Reach per se, or that had friends that are outside the school, because these are schools where they have immediate access to a lot of things, right? So they'd come back with the freshest sneakers, you know, like you'd
there
look
was
up to
always
them.
those couple of kids with the freshest.
With the freshest. You know, I remember there's a guy, his name was Ayanda, his name is Ayanda. He would come to school during break time. He'd have this magazine. I was like, what is that? Then, you know, it's Double XL. He would have Double XL. He would have Hype magazine. So with Double XL, I'd page through it, and Vibe magazine. I would page through it, and it wasn't relevant for me because the content was overseas, you know, like 50 Cent, although I'm a big fan of 50 Cent, but I was just like, yo, we need something locally. And I got hold of Hype magazine. Then I started collecting those, you know, like
same, the
CDs.
CDs.
With the CDs.
Oh, man.
The niggas stole my CDs, bro. So in the room at our flat, we had like the CDs and the posters on the wall. Like it was pretty interesting. So that's how entrenched I was in the culture, or that I am in the culture. There is no artist right now in SA, like a hip hop artist, that I can tell you where they've been, what year they came out, this and that. I've got a lot of insights around just a hip hop.
Archived.
Yeah, it's archived. You know, like I've still got the digital version of the hype volume sessions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can I
mixtape
get
from
the
one.
can I get the file, please?
I'll give yeah,
My
yeah.
man.
So yeah, that's it, bro. I've always been part of the youth culture. Yeah.
So then you start this gig guide, and years later it's catapulted into something so much bigger. Please tell us a bit about that journey, some of the people who were maybe players in that, and where do you want to take it from here? Skipani.com, that is.
So initially we started out, so I met my business partner Bonga Mpungose. We were in Rosebank College together. So we formed an agency called Multimedia Images. This is in 2000 I joined him. He started that in 2007. So in 2008 we partnered up, and so that's how we started getting into business more in a formal structure, you know, like a whole company registered and all of that. So then we went into Skipani. We had a partner who's no longer with us. So, but when how we started is that we started it as a gig guide. We just saw a gap in the market. Initially, we wanted to launch as a print publication, but because of the capital behind that and the funding, it needed a lot of money. But the dream had always been to get into the magazine, the print publication, because that's where the money is. Or was.
Even in this climate, is print still viable?
So eventually we did end up launching a print publication in 2014 to 2016. So we printed like 10 issues. So we distributed nationwide, of which distribution was a struggle because, you know, like it's owned by these big corporates. So what they do, they bulldoze you, so you won't see your product on the shelves. You're listed everywhere, Spar, whatever shops, Pick and Pay, but you're not on the shelves. In the stock room or whatever. People go in there, they're like, oh, we're looking for such and such magazine. Someone who's interested in finding out what the magazine is will actually go to the stock room and find the magazine and give it to the person, you know? Sure. So that was the challenge. So we scrapped that, then we got stronger into video content, so which is what we're currently doing, or what we're focusing on, the video content element. Yeah.
Dope. Now, you started off as a graphic designer in advertising kind of thing.
Yeah.
You find yourself as the MD of Fresh as Fuck right now.
Yeah.
Is it cool to say this out loud in
we
meetings?
Call it Fresh AF.
but like in client meetings and stuff, you just say Fresh AF.
We say, you know the nice thing about us is that, or the advantage that we have is that we're creatives and we're able to come up with names that thought starters in in meetings or icebreakers in meetings. So like something like Skipani, you get in there, you're like, hey, Skipani.
Sure.
You know, like people always feel the need to say it to you. Or,
like how I emailed you this morning and you're like, hey, are you fresh? I'm like, I'm fresh AF. I was like,
it makes you want to you know, like, say it back to us, you know, like, so the name does the work for us. So when we get into the meeting, or if you come across our deck, you will want to check it out. You'll want to see what's happening in the deck. You know, like I think back in the day we were just obsessed with. There's this agency. It was called 60 Layers of Cake. We're just like, what kind of a name is that?
It's
you know,
like provoking.
Yeah, it's
Guess
thought provoking, and you're like, oh, what is that? You know, like Red Nail and all of these agencies with cool names, right? So like, so we always wanted to come up with a name that is. We always come up with names that are straight to the point, and you kind of get the idea within the name, you know, the idea of what it is that these guys are doing, or what services they're rendering, just in the name alone, you know.
Now, as the MD of Fresh AF, what is your day-to-day role?
So I mainly run operations, but because, you know, like I'm a creative at heart and we're a lean team, so I kind of do everything, you know, like my day-to-day, attending meetings, briefings, you know, making sure that the briefs, you know, are addressed correctly the way they should be, you know, that we check all the boxes in the briefs, and, you know, like, so I basically run, I would say 4 companies, in a way, in one, because we have the publications division where we have Skipper, Mgosi, and SA Creatives, so, and Fresh AF as the agency. So those are essentially 4 companies that I run daily operations, you know. Yeah.
What about outside of advertising? We'll get back into advertising. It's a good long interview. What outside of advertising? What are you into? I know you play football.
Yeah, bro. Like I play 5-a-side. I need to go back. So I've got a group of guys. We've got a WhatsApp group. It's called Saturday Footy. So we just link up on Saturdays and we play soccer at Zoo Lake. But I also had a team, or we also had a team, Skipani FC, that was part of the league on Thursday evenings. We'd play on Thursday evenings. So that was quite dope because it promoted the company culture as well, you know. And the other thing that I'm passionate about, that I'm into, is gaming. So I'm big on gaming.
What are you playing?
When I find time. So funny enough, bro, like I've been playing this game since 2019 October. It's called Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Okay.
You know, it's like a third person shooter
Yeah.
game. Yeah. So like it's an immersive world. So like when you get into the character, like you feel like you're part of the character. So it teaches you how to be strategic. So it's a PvP game. So like a lot of the times I play PvP. So there's a career mode. They call it campaign mode. Right, so that's the career mode of FIFA. So it's called the campaign. So that's the storyline, the beauty. So I love gaming because of the scripting that goes behind it, the graphics that are there. Everything is just well thought of, bro. Like it's so dope, and I think that is the next thing for me. I think for a lot of brands in SA, we're just waiting for a lot of people to start picking up the whole gaming culture. I know a lot of people are doing it, but I mean in an official kind of way that brands would be able to tap into it, you know. So there's a PvP element in there. So it's player versus player. So it's 4 people versus 4 people.
Like online.
Online. So I play with friends all over the world. A lot of people like from all over. So I became part of clans. I became part of, you know, like it feels like you're in the military. So it teaches you a lot of things about, you know, like strategy, playing strategically, and just keeping together as a team. Because, you know, like if I was to go solo by myself, leaving my teammates and going to attack somewhere, then I get killed by 4 other people that are playing as a team. It's not good, you know. I'm letting the team down as opposed to me pushing with the team, you know. Like it teaches you a lot of things and strategic thinking, of flanking instead of just going a different direction, the unusual spots, you know, like and staying behind cover so that you don't get shot. And one of the classes there is medic. You know, that's when you have to revive someone. You know, like when they down, you make sure that you give them syringes. You know, it's a dope game. I love it.
It's kind of mirrors life, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Mirrors
it does.
life.
It does. So I see myself in the game. You know,
With your team fighting
With
for
my
the
team
same
fighting
goal.
for the same goal. You know,
All right. So being a young MD, I don't know what the average or mean age of MD is in South Africa is. What do you think the benefits of that is? Obviously, running a youth-focused agency, you have to be down with the youth. So, what are the benefits of that?
I think the benefits of that is the impact that I have on the team. The team is made out of young people. Some of them are coming straight from varsity, coming into the corporate life. You know, like I have the power to sort of like introduce them to the corporate world without being harsh, with being relatable, you know. And, you know, like it's an entrepreneur-run agency. So like there is always like a room to have a chat, you know, as opposed to going to a agency where you don't have access to the original founders of the company, whereas now you're just dealing with the system basically. So, and the operations and how everything is running, it's run by the system in a way, like with faces that say this is how you follow the system. But in my case, the advantages of me being in the position that I am is that I can help the team achieve the goal without necessarily like being harsh or
you can relate.
You know.
Dumb. Now this part of the show is called All Up in Your Business. All Up in Your Business.
Away.
Some people like it, some people hate it, some people are afraid of it.
Let's see. I don't even know what the segment is, so I don't even know if I like it or not.
Trust me, we're gonna get into this.
Yeah, but I don't mind. Hit me.
Let's go. It's a safe space, like I said.
Yeah.
The first one, we'll start with this. So your response to this one is Fire Flames, right?
Fire Flames.
Recently, this past week, actually,
shit.
the new
social
group,
media stuff.
yeah, The new, yes,
Was
all
it
up in your
LinkedIn?
business, yes.
Oh,
This
yeah.
was your LinkedIn, I think.
Okay.
So Avatar has just announced a new group CEO.
Yeah.
And Z had posted this. And your response was Fire Flames. Of course, it's Fire Flames. But I'd like to hear
On
your-
LinkedIn.
On
you know,
LinkedIn.
yeah, Fire Flames on
LinkedIn. You
LinkedIn.
see, fresh as
Yeah.
bro. Come on. So
Yeah,
please,
man.
we know your Fire Flames, but tell us what it actually means to you and what you see and how you feel about it.
So if you check the post that Z posted, so that was a post that was created by us from SA Creatives. So it's something that lived on SA Creatives that he shared on his platform. So although he's part of the group in the agency, but like I just feel like that move is a big move because I've worked with Mzamo. I know Mzamo. We all sit at exco level, and how much of a genius he is when it comes to like his thoughts. He was head of strategy before he stepped into the role of CEO.
It has to be those succession plans.
Yeah,
So important.
So he's very dope when it comes to like thinking. Like he's got a clean. He's a clean cutter. Yeah.
Dope.
So I think it's a dope move for Z to watch Z letting go of the company and trusting someone to run it. It's not an easy move. Like I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes we're too sentimental about something that we've built. And like I've always been a fan of people that let go, like we did, me and my partner, what we did with merging with Avatar. Like it's letting go of a portion of the company and saying that we trust you guys, that you will help us grow in the right direction. So that move for me is fire simply because of that. It's taking a backseat.
Next one. This is dope. Washing our feet. This is a picture of Ali in the Qatari desert. And your caption is, washing our feet at the beautiful inland sea of an exciting dune bashing adventure in the Qatari desert. Please tell us about this trip. It was in 2020. Huh?
In 2020,
early,
bro. This
early
is
2020.
Early
Before it got
2020.
lit, huh?
So, funny enough, I saw things about the news about COVID in Asia. But I didn't take it to head, until it was time for me to plan the trip, which was sometime in Jan. I think I planned it sometime in Jan with my boy that lives in Qatar. So we initially wanted to go to Thailand, but we couldn't because we're like, hey, COVID might have hit there because it's in Asia, right?
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, cool. Let me just rather go to Qatar and meet you at Qatar. Then I can stay there for like five days, like just chilling, So yeah, we're chilling there. It was interesting. So me dressed like that. People actually thought we were like the rich black Arabs.
Nice.
The treatment was so dope. Like the perception of that thing. So they call it a dish dash.
Okay.
Yeah. So
the headwear. Or the whole outfit.
The whole outfit. So
Okay.
it's a dish dash. So just the respect alone, like the approach and how they approach you is different as to how we are dressed now today.
Casual.
We look like outsiders, and they treat you like an outsider. Even the cops, when they come to you, if there's something between me and the local, they will go to the local. They don't want to talk to you as an outsider. They hash it out with him first and find out what's going on, take his narrative, and his narrative is gospel, and that's how it is.
That's why it's important to remember, when in Rome, do as the rules do.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
Cool. Next one. This is a dope one. You were here in a picture with Mr. Steve Kompela, one of the
Steve
dopest SA coaches ever. Since we're on football, what's your favorite local team?
Orlando Pirates.
Pirates.
That's my team, bro.
And internationally?
Internationally, Arsenal. Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
So now tell us about the picture. What were you guys working on? I know it was a KFC ad, but yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, so in December, so the campaign rolled out in December, but that was sometime in September, August. Yeah, that's when we're shooting the content for Zapata Grand, which is a campaign that we did for KFC treats. So treats are the sundaes, the ice cream, the crushes, and so we did a whole campaign around that. So basically, the whole idea behind that is that a lot of these fast food restaurants, they want you to buy their treats, their ice cream, and how they use it or how they market it is that you need to treat yourself, but they don't tell you when and how to treat yourself. So a person that tells the other person how to treat themselves is usually like a life coach, right? So like instead of using like a life coach, we thought, who's the people's coach?
The people's coach.
Yeah, so that is Steve Compella.
Next one. This is an inspiring picture. The Fresh AF team. This is such an inspiring picture. Beautiful, beautiful young people in the same place. This was actually a post from Twitter where you guys were nominated for a New Gen Award for some work you did on Smirnoff. I mean, that's cool, but I want to talk about the actual picture because it's like so inspiring.
Yeah, bro. So like how we used to do a lot of work for the DSD, Department of Social Development, right? So would do the content of these sessions. They would have ECD conferences. They would have young people, whatever. Young people was a trending thing. So we do the youth camp with them like since 2012. So we built the whole initiative and all of that, right, in supporting them with making sure that it's heard by a lot of people in SA, right? So with that, I noticed that in the panels, like there are no young people. When you look at the parliament, there are no young people. Like there's no one there under the ages of 35 40, or 30 something.
Not even, yeah.
So for me, we're deliberate in saying that, we're executing youth work. So we need to get young people, to work for these platforms and to work for on these campaigns, so that is a direct link from the brand to the young people. So you imagine yourself within that campaign because we're trying to speak to a certain target market audience, and maybe you're not even part of that target audience. So it makes it difficult for you to resonate or with the campaign or for you to find it relevant to you. So that's why you might even do a wrong execution simply because like you don't understand the market. So for us to be able to execute a proper campaign, we need to make sure that the team is able to share ideas around that specific campaign, and they relate to that campaign. Once it's they don't relate to it, that means that it's not a good campaign. So like we always make sure, although the luck on our side is that we part of the avatar group, so we can always tap into the wisdom of Abomzamo and the rest of the team,
Now, obviously, somebody who seems like you look up to in quite a big sense. This tweet from Z, advice to my younger self, and he has you in the picture with him, which means a lot. It already just of face value, that means a lot. So, I mean, I'll put it on the screen, but I'll read it off quickly. Advice to my younger self. This is from Z. 1, buy less cars and buy more property. 2, make God your center all the time. 3, work hard and play responsibly. 4, don't worry about your competition. Let your competition worry about you. I love that. And 5, take wise advice from old people. Now, please tell us a bit about that relationship between the two of you, and essentially, what advice would you give to your younger self?
My younger self.
Buma,
okay,
like
cool.
16-ish. Yeah.
So Z, I think I met Z for the first time. I think it was in 2011, where at the Indaba Hotel, it was a digital workshop, right? So he was a guest speaker. So I had to ask him questions, throwing questions about data and all of that, because we were in the space of online magazine, So fast forward later, then he invested in the company. He was like, yo, cool. We reached out to him, and then he ended up being part of the company. So he's our business partner. So which is dope. So he would guide me on the business and how to make business moves, and because it's in his interest, right?
Yes.
So I was like, yo, I need you to be my mentor from a personal level, my growth, and as an individual before the business, Then he was like, clean, let's do it, So yeah, I look up to him. I've watched him like in his element. He's brilliant, bro. Like he's really, really, really dope. You know?
I'm hoping to track him down one of these days for a second. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
So he's learnt a lot. I think he's now 22+ years in business. So that's a long time. And you know, like I wanna avoid the mistakes that he did, you know, like, and just have different kind of mistakes, if that makes sense. You know, like more on like the avoidable stuff. Like he would tell me that, like, you saw the first pointer was that
buy less cars and buy more property.
Cars. I mean, I still want to get
a fresh whip, you know,
a fresh whip type of thing, you know, like he would tell me why, then I'd be like, okay, cool. Instead of me doing it like you did it or this way, or what have you learned from that, then he would give me like advice in that and how to approach it. Then I use it, you know, depending on if it resonates with where I am currently, you know. Yeah.
Now, what about a 16-year-old Ali?
16-year-old Ali, man, like I always say this. There's something I'm obsessed with, systems, right? Putting systems in place. You know, like I've personally done a lot of mistakes in who were so easily to give up shares. You know, like once we felt like you share a vision with us, then we're like, oh, let's do this. Like we're focusing on the work so much that we're like, it's not about the money, it's not about the whatever. So no need for agreements or whatever. Matter of fact, we can go to CPRO today and we can give you shares, you know. So that was the reckless thinking back then when I was younger. So I would say that Ali, if you're watching this,
the 16-year-old
we're in the future now. So please, bro, focus on systems. Make sure that you build systems that work, and systems that people will follow. Make sure that everything is on record when it comes to agreements, because we've seen it, dog. Like, I mean, a lot of musicians, a lot of whatever, they coming out now, they're crying about contracts that were just verbal.
The worst is our South African music legends who die without a cent.
You know,
that's the worst.
And now, you know, like with the whole, a lot of these record labels that are started by young people, you admire them from a distance, but fast forward 5 years later, you hear how they split, that there was nothing that was signed, or they were not even equal or whatever. I don't. And also the other one is that never ever run a business as a democracy. That's it.
I agree with that.
I want to see. You shouldn't be equal in a business. I don't support that. Back then we used to do it, but you know, like it backfired, like, you know.
You mean that in the sense, like, somebody has to have the final ahead, the final.
Yeah, we can own the same whatever, but we don't invest the same. I mean, we're not invested equally in the business, and we don't run it equally, if that makes sense. So meaning that we should always entrust someone that will drive the vision of the business, you know, because you might find that for us to make a business move, now we have to, you know, debate about it.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's cool to debate, but we need someone to take the final, you know, like the final decision. Yeah. So
and like you
that's
said,
my advice would be to the 16-year-old. Yeah,
like you said, as the MD, you have your hands in everything in general. So I mean, it's good for someone to take the final decision. So let's round off all up in your business. This is the final one, December 25. Wholesomeness. This was from your Facebook. I usually don't get access to people's Facebook. This one looks like good times. La Praia, the sun is out. People. Man. Please tell us a bit about this picture. Where are you? Who you with? What's going on?
This is Mapela in Mukopane, where I was born. So yeah, my parents, my dad is retired, so he went back to Limpopo. He's like, yo, I was in Jozi to come and work, so I'm done now. So I'm moving back. You know, like he moved back. My brothers are still in Raberich though, but you know, I went to Limpopo to go and see them and spend Christmas with them, and it was dope, man.
Dope. All right, you survived all up in your business. I told you it wouldn't be that bad.
I'm glad
there wasn't too much stuff.
Too much, yeah.
Ultimately, if not advertising, then what? What do you think you'd be? Would you be a baker or a neuroscientist? I don't know.
I know for sure that I'd be in business, but it's the industry I can't pinpoint, because the advantage of being a graphic designer is that you get exposed to a lot of companies because they want CI,
Yeah.
you know, like construction company. Wow. And you're exposed to their figures because they want to give you context as much as they can, right? But to be honest, I don't know, bro. I don't know, but I know it's something, a business that would be like maybe, I don't know, but within the youth culture. Yeah.
I think what I picked up from all of you advertising leaders, the leaders of the school in South Africa, is that while it is still, you are still businessmen at the core, you have a bigger vision for the entire industry. And it's not just the money. The money can be there, cool, but it's seeing how much you guys can develop. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I think so. You're right in that. You know, like we basically, so we see ourselves as the plug to youth culture, right? So, and the fight that we have is that, you know, like to pay these young people what's due to them, you know. Back then as a publication, and one of the reasons why we ended up saying, you know what, I think getting in it as an agency, it will be better because we start from the inception of the campaign right through to execution, right through to amplification of it, you know. Then it's easier, then we control the budgets from up there. But as a publication, we just amplifying what's already there. Then the media agency would say, this is how much we have, right? Which is already cut down into like small sizes, that budget. So that's what happens with influencers. That's what happens with artists when they signing a sync deal and all of those things. So our fight is for those people to get what's due to them, and the worth of that campaign and the worth of their reach should be paid for, you know, the way it should, you know.
I've said this a couple of times on the podcast. Pay the creatives.
Yeah,
pay the
creatives.
Pay the creatives, man. Especially stuff like photographers and graphic designers. You see, like, especially freelancers, people out there on Twitter complaining, I didn't get paid by this and this and that. Like, guys.
And the weird thing is that you see those creatives and the photographers, the videographers, whatever, right? So those people have a rate card which is standard. Unlike, you know, when I'm approaching you as a brand to be an ambassador. You know, it's sometimes you can't quantify the reach, you can't quantify whatever, like in the negotiation stages. I would say that I've got 1 million, whereas this partnership could be like 15 million that is due to you. So that's the conversation of saying, you know, like to a different person, they would say this much, but to this person with the same reach, same everything, it's whack, bro.
It's so whack. What else do you think might be missing, or what are we doing well in South African advertising right now?
I think what I'm starting to see is a lot of agencies that are coming up that are independent agencies, and I think social media has changed a lot. I know people say this a lot, but it has changed a lot. People have a lot of following to a point where they can actually propose a campaign from their individual capacity, you know, which makes it more interesting, more ideas on the table, you know, like if I'm an artist or a photographer or whatever, bro, like with a big following, I shoot something nice maybe for Nike, they like it, then I take it to a different brand, you know, like I'm building my portfolio. I don't have to be an agency, I don't have to be, so that's all round advertising. So I'm loving the space now because there's a lot of players within the space, even though within the youth culture, let me put it like that, within the youth culture, the whole thing of other agencies, I think it's a different conversation altogether. And I think because these big agencies have young creatives in them, and these young creatives chill with these photographers, these whatever. So like it only moves the culture forward.
What are some of the dream brands you would like Fresh AF to work on? Like obviously youth-centered brands, right?
Yeah. So I think the one that we're working on currently is KFC. So we've got a close relationship there, and a lot of them are from a media perspective. We working with AB and Bev a lot. So the alcohol space, the fast food space, we've done a lot of work there, but obviously, like Nike is like everyone's dream to work for Nike or to work with Nike. So like seeing ourselves like working there with Nike, or maybe like a Vodacom, because there's next level there, and there isn't a lot of activity happening there. Yeah, so like it would be nice to work with Vodacom.
Why do you wake up and do what you do every morning? What's the end goal? Because we all want to make a mark in this world, in whatever industry we're in, wherever we sit and lie in our lives. Why do you wake up and do what you do?
I love what I do, bro. I love what I do, but I think the main motivator or the main how do I say it? Like the thing that motivates me is that, you know, like or the fire that keeps me burning is us making sure that, you know, like the black owned agencies dominate the whole of Africa.
Yes,
so it's
please.
advertising for our people
By our people.
You know, like once I see that, I mean, we only make contributing a little to the whole space of advertising, but you know, I'll be happy one day when I see that, you know what, now these brands are appointing black creatives or black owned agencies. That's what we stand for. And as I think I'd speak for Avatar as a whole, you know, like with what they did for techno, you know, like that was a big move.
An international,
because a lot of Asians are investing in Africa.
Yeah.
But now they have to go from their continent, come to our continent, only to go to a different continent to appoint an agency that is going to speak to our continent.
Disconnect.
You see the disconnection then that's why that's why we dance in videos, that's why we do all these sorts of things that don't even represent us, you know. So I will be happy one day when I see that, you know, our message is pushed by our people, and our people that will consume the message are basically happy from the ground. You know?
Dope.
Yeah.
Ali, thank you so much for your time. But while we wrap it up, I just want to hear what you have to say for the From A to Z listeners, young people who just maybe started in advertising, people who want to be the MD of their own Fresh AF one day. What do you have to say to them?
Basically, what I have to say to them is that when you see this video, or whenever this platform podcast drops a video, make sure you take that video, or this one, make sure you take that video, you search on LinkedIn brand managers for your favorite brand, spam them with that link until they advertise on this platform for this platform to grow so that we give young people and people within the ad space a voice and a platform for them to be able to share their work. Shout out.
I appreciate that. Now you're a real one. You're a real one. Put it over there, bro.
Away,
I appreciate that, man. We found out about your upbringing, how you found yourself in advertising.
Yeah.
Starts off Skipani.
Yeah.
Being the MD of Fresh AF. Where you think we're going in the future? Is there anything we might have missed out?
I think that's pretty much it. So the next episode will come back when there's a lot of brands that are on this platform.
Yes, please.
Then we can talk about a different chapter in in Fresh AF, man.
For sure.
Shout out to you, bro. You're doing amazing, bro. Like the work that you're doing. I'm watching the interviews.
Appreciate it,
yeah, you're getting key people as well, and I think it's high time that the brands start co-signing this thing, you know.
Nah, you're a real one. Ali, thank you so much.
Thanks,
we wish you all the best from A to Z podcast. South Africa is in good hands in terms of advertising. We wish you all the best.
Dope. Thank you, bro.
From A to Z, we out.
From A to Z, it's plain to see. This podcast is about people in my industry. Writers, designers, social media managers. Don't forget the data miners. HRPR, find out who they are and how they made it this far. From A to Z, talk about your family, talk about the goals you reach, talk about the plans you see. Let's get it. Welcome aboard. I'm your host, Kfc Ad, and this is the From A to Z podcast.